pioneer in underwater filmmaking, and a lot of his short films focus on the aquatic animal world. He liked to show small underwater creatures displaying what seemed like familiar human characteristics, what we think of as unique to humans. He might take a clip of a mollusk going up and down in the water and set it to music, to make it look as if the mollusk were dancing to the music, like a human being, that sort of thing. But then he'd suddenly change the image or narration to remind us how different the animals are, how unlike humans. He confused his audience in the way he portrayed the animals he filmed, mixing up our notions of the categories human and animal. The films make us a little uncomfortable at times because we're uncertain about what we're seeing. It gives his films an uncanny feature. The familiar made unfamiliar. The normal made suspicious. He liked twists. He liked the unusual. In fact, one of his favorite sea animals was the seahorse, because with seahorses, it's the male that carries the eggs, and he thought that was great. His first and most celebrated underwater film is about the seahorse. Susan, you have a question?
But underwater filmmaking wasn't that unusual, was it? I mean, weren't there other people making movies underwater?
Well, actually, it was pretty rare at that time. I mean, we're talking the early 1900s. It was pretty rare at that time. Well, actually...
Weren't there other people making movies underwater? I mean, weren't there other people making, wasn't that unusual, making, wasn't that unusual, making, wasn't that unusual, making, wasn't that unusual, was it? Making, wasn't that unusual, was it? I'm making, wasn't that unusual, was it? Making, wasn't that unusual, making, wasn't that unusual, was it? I mean, making, wasn't that unusual, was it? I mean, making, wasn't that unusual, making, wasn't that unusual, was it? Making, wasn't that unusual, was it? I mean, weren't there other people making movies underwater?
Well, actually, it was pretty rare at that time. I mean, we're talking the early 1930s here.
But what about Jacques Cousteau? Wasn't he like an innovator, with underwater photography too?
Ah, Jacques Cousteau. Well, Canlevay and Cousteau did both film underwater, and they were both innovators, so you're right in that sense. But that's pretty much where the similarities end. First of all, Canlevay was about 20 years ahead of Cousteau, and Cousteau's adventures were high-tech with lots of fancy equipment, whereas Canlevay kind of patched equipment together as he needed it. Cousteau usually filmed large animals, usually in the open sea, whereas Canlevay generally filmed smaller animals, and he liked to film in shallow water. What else? Well, the main difference was that Cousteau simply investigated and presented the facts. He didn't mix in fiction. He was a strict documentarist. He set the standard, really, for the nature documentary. Canlevay, on the other hand, as we said before, mixed in elements of fiction, and his films are much more artistic, incorporating music as an important element. John, you have a question?
Well, maybe I shouldn't be asking this, but if Canlevay's films are so special, so good, why haven't we ever heard of them? I mean, everyone's heard of Jacques Cousteau.
Well, that's a fair question.
That's a fair question.
The short answer is that Canlevay's style just never caught on with the general public. I mean, it probably goes back, at least in part, to what we mentioned earlier, that people didn't know what to make of his films, that they were confused by them. Whereas Cousteau's documentaries were very straightforward, met people's expectations more than Canlevay's films did. But your true film history buffs know about him, and Canlevay still highly about him. and Ponlevay. True film history buffs know about. True film history buffs know about. True film history buffs know about him, and Ponlevay. But your true film history buff films did. But your true film history buffs know about him, and Ponlevay still films did. But your true film history buffs know about him, and films did. But your true film history buffs know about him, and films did. But your true film history buffs know about him, and Ponlevay still highly respect films did. But your true film history buffs know about him, films did. But your true film history buffs know about films did. But your true film history buffs know about him, and Ponlevay still highly respected in many circles.
Hi, Professor Archer. You know how in class last week you said that you were looking for students who were interested in volunteering for your archaeology project?
Of course. Are you volunteering?